Hello students, this video will show you how to graph functions on your calculator. This calculator is the TI-84 Plus from Texas Instruments and you'll be using it all throughout high school, so knowing the functions is very important for the upcoming years. Today we are discussing graphing at the grade 10 level, which includes typing in functions, tracing different values, and creating window settings. To start graphing, you click the Y equals button in the top left corner of your calculator. This will open up a list of Y equals equations which you can type in functions in which you want to graph. You can scroll over 2 places to the left with the arrow button on each Y equals section and change the thickness and design of the line that you're using on the graph. As an example, let's type in this linear function and graph it.
Here's the equation, and now I click Graph in the top right corner to access the graph.
As you can see, your function is now graphed. If you click the Y equals button again, it will take you back to our original place where we can type in more functions. On the next line, I will type in another function and switch the line thickness of it. Now these will both be graphed on the same plane. By clicking enter on the line, I can switch between which line I use. Now when I graph it, both lines will show up and I can see which one is which. Now I will go over how to change your window settings to display various parts of the graph. If you click the window button, it will come up with various numbers which are your window settings. The X min and the X max buttons over here change how far you can see on the x-axis, and the Y min and Y max buttons show how far you can see on the y-axis. The X and Y scale changes which value each unit is on the X and Y axis of your graph. If I change it to 3 on the X scale, you can see that each unit on the X axis is 3 units long. Now if we want to zoom in on the intersection that we have on our graph, we can see that it is around -1 on the x-axis and 0 on the y-axis. So back in our window settings, let's change the x minimum to -4, the x maximum to 1, our y minimum to -2, and our y max to 2. This will encapsulate our intersection better when we click graph again. This function can be used to zoom in and out of any part of the graph. If we click the zoom button, all of these are preset window settings and you can play around with them to see which ones you like depending on the function that you are typing in. The most important one is zoom standard, which will take you back to the original 10 by 10 unit graph. If you either scroll down or click the 0 button, it will put whatever function you have into a fit box. This is in case you cannot find your function by manual window settings if it is too large. The next function that we'll be discussing is tracing values on a graph. If you click the regular trace button, you can scroll through the different values on the line using the arrow keys. This is not exact, but if you need to find a value quickly, you can use this. In the second and then trace area, there are 3 important functions that you will need. These are the value button, the 0 button, and the intersect button. By clicking the value button, it will take you back to the graph with an x equals in the bottom corner. If you type in an x value, it will give you the y value at that point on the graph. Keep in mind this only works for one function, so if you want to trace the values for each x value on different functions, you will need to type them in individually. The 0 button will let you find the x-intercepts on a graph where the graph hits 0 on the x-axis. When it says left bound, you want to move your cursor to where the graph is left to the point you want to find. Then you will click enter. Then you click enter on the opposite side for the right bound. And then where it says guess, you will put a guess for where the point is on the x-intercept. Then you will click enter. This will give you the x value where the graph hits 0. The minimum and maximum buttons are not important for now, as there are no minimums and maximums on a linear graph. If you click the intersect button, it will bring you to a page like the 0 button, but only asks for the first curve and second curve. Here you will click enter on one place on the first curve, and then one place on the second line, and then you will put it where you think the intersect is as a guess, and when you click enter, it will give you the intersection between those 2 lines. That is what you will need to know for graphing in grade 10. This concludes our grade 10 video series. Thanks for watching.